So, as you all know, Crash Team Racing Nitro Field has come out earlier this week, and I picked that up very quickly. So, I never played this game on PS1 in the past, but I've only heard great things about it over time. I had a friend from a very young age always rave about it, tell me how it's like so much better than Mario Kart and stuff. So, when I heard about the remake coming out, I was like, oh man, that's really exciting. I can't wait to actually get it, pick it up and play it. And it being on Switch obviously is very convenient for me. So, I've been playing it a lot the first few days it's been out, and I have a few initial thoughts to get through so far, I guess. So, to be quite frank, the game is super disappointing yet weirdly awesome at the same time. I've never been like so divided on a game, I feel like, at launch, because it has like moments of like brilliance, some true greatness, but on the other hand, there's just so many like inexcusable bad things that just it's kind of embarrassing in a way. So I'd say the biggest strength of this game for sure. The driving can be blissful at times. Like, it's definitely super hard to pick up, but it's like super rewarding and super fun to play. It just feels nice, and I get why a lot of people prefer this game, just because, you know, the driving is quite satisfying. It's just very satisfying to drive fast, take some cuts. The reserve system is quite wild, and I think this could really make for an amazing like speed game, even though like I will admit the game does not do a very good job explaining its techniques, but you know, I guess I'll do that a little bit. So when you get a 3 perfect mini turbo boost, you kind of get like a little bit of a big boost, and if you continue getting mini turbos to keep it, you build up reserve, and you can keep like the speed from like your third mini turbo up without slowing down and going back to normal. And if you go off a boost panel, that's an even faster speed. If you keep mini turboing after that, you maintain the speed on that also. And then sometimes you can get blue turbo from ramps or just like really tall jumps and stuff, and that's the fastest. It's like going from 150 to 200, and you can maintain that also to get quite crazy speeds and a significant advantage over your competitors. So that's like just a very general definition. It's kind of like PRB from MKDS if you're familiar with that, but it's definitely a very interesting mechanic, and weirdly it makes TTs very interesting, because like even like times that are perhaps like in the top 5 percentile, like they can sometimes be like 30 seconds away from the world record, whereas like that'd be impossible for like almost every other statistic possible. So I guess the other thing is like it has a lot of fun like kind of hidden shortcuts, so you know, there's a lot of cool stuff there. So I guess the first disclaimer here is the item system is kind of dog shit. It's like MK64 in a sense, in which it's kind of imbalanced. Like you don't really, you can pretty much get anything anywhere. I'll explain much more, like in more significant detail near the end of the video, on why this is kind of a problem. But overall, it's like kind of meh in terms of items. The tracks are pretty cool. A lot of them are very fun. Some of my personal favorites are Cortex Castle and Clockwork Wumpa. Shout out to Jungle Boogie. That's like the hypest name for a track ever. I like the track design overall, even though they just kind of ported it from the first 2 games, Crash Team Racing, Crash and Nitro Kart. They're very fun though. Admittedly, the thing with some tracks, it's like I feel like they have at times custom track-like design, in the sense that you can't really tell where you're going the first time you play the track, and it's a little bit of a problem. But what I found more than ever is that time trialing is quite very useful, and kind of can help teach you tracks, and definitely something that more people should probably be taking advantage of. That's kind of what I'm playing to learn the game, because I feel like that's the most like satisfying form of the game. It's just playing time trial. Hit stun from items is quite awful. You just bounce in the air like 3 times, and it's a major slowdown when you get hit by something like a basic missile. To make matters worse, if you get hit by something else, you almost immediately get hit by that also, without like having much invincibility. That makes me really feel spoiled from MK8D, because the invincibility after an item hit is quite nice. It's kind of similar with a lot of the other changes in MK8D also, in terms of the item system. It feels kind of like nice, pretty consistent overall, and just good in that sense. And I know a lot of people like dislike MK8D. I even have my fair share of complaints with it, but In a lot of ways, this game makes me appreciate it even more, if that makes sense. Sometimes when you get hit by items, you cannot stop the momentum whatsoever, and you'll get like pushed off the track because of the momentum. And this becomes an even bigger problem online, but I will get to that momentarily. So the other big thing, and I think this is mainly like a Nintendo Switch problem, is the loading is like possibly like the worst I've dealt with like in any game. Like, it feels like the loading screens in this game like almost take like a minute. Like there's no way it's below 30 seconds. It's absolutely crazy. So long for almost every action in the game, and the game is quite fun, but it hurts. Like if you load a time trial, like it loads the map at the first time, and then like if you restart, like it won't be that long. But like in general, when like starting new stuff, like it's a while. It's like quite a while. It's kind of even a turn-off. Like, it's rough. But anyway, on to, I guess, the main complaints about the game. And I'm not trying to be downer about all of it, because don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying this game a lot. I can say a lot of positive stuff on it, but I just feel I want to be kind of critical, I guess, when I'm just talking about like my complete thoughts on the game. But you know, the Wi-Fi is just inexcusable. They made it better than launch apparently, but it is still god awful. There's like a lot of problems. The first big problem, I suppose, is like a lack of options in the game, mainly online. Like, seriously, just copy MK8. It's not that hard. Not only can like friend rooms and stuff not do like Grand Prix, so, like there's no customization options. You can only do single races at a time with friends, and the host always has to pick the track. And of course, the loading, of course, is quite ridiculous here also, because you go back to the screen and have to wait for it to start again. Of course, it's kind of a tedious process for just some gameplay, I guess, online. It really feels stupidly hard to even find friend rooms to begin with. Like some of the people I played with, they've hosted a room and like half the lobby just can't like join each other, or like they can't even see that their room's even up. It's honestly a problem. Like, it should never take multiple attempts to like find a way for us to get in the room and like switching up hosts and stuff. It should just work the first time. Like, it's pretty simple. I really hope it's possible, you know. There's really no excuses here. You know, there's also some other stuff, like lack of viewing your own ghost, which should be kind of a standard in any kart racer today. There's a lack of leaderboards in a 2019 racing game with a time trial mode, and quite literally, that is unacceptable. It just is. There's no excuse to not have online leaderboards. It's kind of painful. Probably the biggest problem with the online is the lag trails that we complained about in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe a lot. Pretty much is in this game, but instead of just applying to like trailed shells and stuff, this applies to practically every single item in the game, including stuff like stars. So if you run into stars, if you run into somebody else with a star, they will be getting hit on their screen, even if you were nowhere near them. And the game is already kind of bad enough with the netcode online, so like it's kind of rough. If you run into an obstacle on somebody else's screen but not your screen, you're getting hit by it, and you won't know what hit you unless somebody tells you, and it's kind of ridiculous, I guess. Everyone can front run in this game also. That's a little bit of a problem. And what I mean by that is there is like sometimes in a race, like if everybody gets a really great start, like it can just mess up with the positions. Like the game won't know who's like in first. It'll tell like half the room that they're in first and stuff. And I think a lot of it's just like the game being bad at like knowing where other characters are. And again, this is a 2019 issue. Like, this shouldn't be an issue. I think a lot of this stems from the fact that like in this game on Wi-Fi, like you get your normal star and stuff, but like every other person in a room gets a bad start on your screen. And this is a huge problem when you realize that the lag trailing item system is quite ridiculous. So the optimal strategy, since everybody in the room is going to be behind you on your screen, is when you get to an item box, immediately throw back whatever you get, because you're probably going to hit somebody on your screen, which makes them get hit also. And the problem here is that this makes the beginning of most races a complete RNG toss-up. Like, there's no calculation to it whatsoever. You're just gonna hit somebody because everybody gets a bad start on your screen, so you should be able to hit like a decent amount of people behind you. It's kind of an issue, so it's unfortunate, really. There's this place that I played on Coco Park with a few other people where like we all just like did really well. We kept our reserves up really well, and all of us thought we were in first place, and it turned out that we didn't know who was in first place because everybody's in first place at the same time. There was even a case where I was like 20 good seconds behind a friend on this track, and the game thought I was ahead of him for some reason, even though it like blatantly wasn't true. I was baffled. I didn't understand this at all. So, you know, it's a bit crazy, and you know the lag trail thing with like the delayed start boost, like for your opponents online, it's just a pretty big issue. And, you know, this game has a lot going for it, I'll admit. Like the front running is very nice and pleasant and stuff, but like, I don't know. That's just about it. I feel like the items just don't really do much for the game, I guess. And, you know, based on like how the game plays out, like the casual audience like thinks this game is like super skill based, and you know it is skill based. Like you need to be good to be able to like win stuff online and stuff. It's easier to destroy bad people than it is in Mario Kart, but you know it may have severe flaws at like a competitive level, which is my main concern. Because you know the thing is, like the items only make this game worse. While I would argue that the items in Mario Kart probably make the game more skill based than anything. I made a video on that if you want to check it out in the past. It's on one of my Rook View episodes. But like items actually complement MK pretty well. It's honestly, from what I can tell up to this point, not really the case here. So I guess for a few other talking points, I guess, is that missiles are kind of shit, I guess. Like, they're pretty dumb items. So if you do break away in first because the game just rewarded it to you at the beginning of the lottery system at the beginning of every race, you can pretty much just front run for free if you're not terrible. You can argue that being in first is buffed, like a lot, and you can argue that that's a good thing, but is it really a good thing if it's not hard to hold first ultimately? Like, you can be in first place and you can run, but like you may not be the best player in the room. You just may have looked out in the beginning, and because of the nature of the game, you can actually get stars in first place, or clocks, which are the shock equivalents, like in second or something. And like pretty much everybody's going to be getting hit by the missiles mid-pack and stuff. The back is always like more destructive, and you know, it's kind of hard to like lose your lead in this game sometimes. And I feel like yeah, like it's important to like protect first place and not just screw them over like all the time. But you know, at the same time, you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder, is there really any satisfaction in like playing this and front running if everybody else is just getting screwed over, and it's more about that than like you just running? Like maybe you are the best runner in the room, but it's entirely possible that like you just run in first place because like that's kind of how the beginning of the race started, and you just kind of got rewarded, and it's not really that difficult, I guess. I feel like it's better when you can kind of plan comebacks and stuff without just like having to worry about getting screwed over, really. Top of that, blue shells, or the equivalent of that, like they pretty much feel impossible to avoid online because of like the lag trailing system. It honestly needs to be fixed so badly, but it's almost impossible to escape these things because they travel on the ground, like the non-winged ones in our recent games. It's just really tough. And then I guess here's another example of like, so you know, obviously the driving's way harder than most MK games, especially the recent ones. You know, like maintaining like blue reserve mini turbo or whatever. Maintaining that is really difficult, of course, because like you don't want to mess up your drifts and stuff, because like you're pretty much going at 200 cc. But think of this: so like, you can get the clock item, and that's like the shock. And if you like use like, for example, the first turn of like Electron Avenue or something, there's like a gigantic jump, or like the late turn on like Clockwork Wumpa or something, you get like a blue turbo boost from the giant jump in the lap and stuff. If you just like use a clock after most of the room goes after that, and like this is examples like a hypothetical, like when people get to like a really high level in this game. If you use the clock after like the entire room's passing that specific part of the game, or that specific part of the stage, they're all going to lose their blue mini turbo, and you will be able to go by scot-free while having like blue reserve turbo. And this doesn't sound terrible on paper, but then you realize that perhaps this person is going to gain well over 10 to 15 seconds on the entire room just because he got a clock because he was in the back. And I would argue that this is pretty problematic. And you know, we're not going to see this kind of stuff like when there's like complete skill mismatches, but like the more it develops and stuff, like just the more I see like stupid stuff like this happening like in lobbies of really skilled players. Now admittedly, I don't think I'm that good at that game. I'm probably okay. I've definitely gotten control on the mechanics a little bit. I'm definitely not no top player, but you know, this is just kind of like the logical like stuff I kind of see happening in the future of the game unless they fix the game, and I really hope they do, because there's still a lot to love here. But I just can't help but feel that like it's a common misconception that like Crash is just like this, Crash Team Racing is just this like amazing game that was like way better than any MK and stuff, when in reality like it seems pretty unpolished. Like yesterday, like I played like a single race because I was bored, and I just loaded up Cortex Castle, and like it just didn't load the track, and I had to like reset my game. I thought I was gonna get like it was gonna get locked, I wouldn't be able to do anything. It's kind of scary. It is a little bit of a mess right now, and I really wish it was better, because I do enjoy what I am seeing right now, and trust me, like I would even say that like for like the silly adventure mode and just just for a change of pace, that this game is honestly more than worth it at $40. I've had a lot of fun with it so far, and I just hope that gets better. I hear there's an update coming soon, but this is just my initial thoughts. Maybe I'll update my opinion, maybe I won't. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be playing it, but I'm for sure enjoying my time playing it right now, and would recommend it to really anybody, I guess, at least to just try out and stuff. I guess the issue is I feel like the game is just more enjoyable when playing without item, but at that point you could argue, well, it's just a TT, I suppose. I guess you're right, but a big criticism I have of like MK8U is that like it feels like an online TTing game, and that there's like not much interaction with opponents and stuff. And that's true. Like I think lack of interaction is a pretty bad thing for many competitive games. But you know what? Like at the very least, the TTing in this game is going to be like really complex and pretty dope. So that's cool, and it has that going for it. So perhaps it would be better than most MKs without items. I really think I'd prefer playing MK with items in the long run, but we'll see how long I want to play this, because it's definitely shown me some good stuff so far, and I'm kind of excited to play it a little bit more, I guess, and improve, and I guess get good everywhere. Anyway, I think that's all I have on Crash today. Perhaps I will update opinions soon later. We'll see. Maybe I'll play some like viewer games with people. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun on it so far, and I know I've been mostly negative in this video, but I highly encourage you to give it a try if it's an affordable thing for you, because I'm having a lot of fun with it, as I've been saying. I am genuine with that. Definitely a lot of worthwhile content for sure. So pretty good game. Very heavily flawed. I'm like not really. I'm not a top player by any means, so like maybe all of this like speculation will be completely inaccurate. But just as like I guess somebody who plays kart racers frequently, I guess, but mainly MK, like these are just my initial thoughts. And I think it's cool to just have like another option, even if it may not be something that's like super long term for me. But it's definitely better than most kart racers out there. I would say so. Could definitely be a fun one to pick up if you want to try something new, and maybe a little bit more advanced, because it's certainly tough to drive and quite rewarding and fun. Anyway, that's all I have officially this time. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next episode. Thanks.